we have Donny Burbage, the guitar player of Cradle of Filth, discussing their latest album, The Screaming of the Valkyrie, which came out March 21st. And he will also be discussing his departure from Aether Realm, among many other topics, I'm sure. I hope you enjoy.
Oh, yeah. Can you hear me?
I can. Good morning.
Cool. Morning. Let me make sure it's not original sound music off. Okay, perfect. Yeah, it should be good. I think it has noise canceling on right now, so you don't get yourself talking back into your ears or not. I don't want to mess up your recording audio and stuff like that. So, um, yeah, if it's shot, just let me know.
Yeah, no, it sounds fine on my end so far.
Okay, okay, cool. You don't hear yourself back in your ears or anything, or no?
No. No,
Perfect.
I wouldn't even
Cool.
be able to keep having a conversation. That always confuses me when I hear that. And then I'm like, I
Yeah, right.
don't know how to talk.
Yeah, it's the worst. Yeah.
How are you?
I'm pretty good. Yeah. Oy. Doing good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Busy, busy anymore, huh?
Oh, busier than a centipede on a toe counting contest. So
Never
it's
heard
pretty
that one
busy.
before.
Oh, I'm the king of stuff like that, where I just say like dumb shit all the time. I think it's why people like me. I don't know. I'm not sure. I haven't quite figured it out yet, but
Oh, so yeah, I guess it's probably been a little bit of a whirlwind the last couple days or couple of days, years. I assume that you're playing on this latest Cradle of Filth album.
100%. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I not only am I playing, I wrote some keys for it also, actually. So I did a lot. I did a lot of heavy
Cool.
lifting on it in terms of like writing and organizing stuff. So it's cool. Like Demagoguery, like I wrote all those keys for that one,
Huh.
and then we sent it off to our guy Sam, who kind of like reorchestrates it with his better sounding like sample libraries that he has and stuff like that. But it was nice. I think he told me he added like a little organ lead part on there, and I went, dude, that's sick. As I loved it. I thought it sounded great. It sounded
Yeah,
very old school. So I was
right.
about it.
That's cool. I was curious because they've been going for so long. I was curious how much creative freedom you had there because obviously with now, is it Ether Realm or Aether Realm? Because I always said Aether Realm until I had coffee with Barbara Blackthorne when she was in town a while back and she said Ether Realm and I went, shit, I think I've been saying it wrong all of these years.
So that word we jokingly say it's either either.
Oh, okay.
But like the word either or either, like people just say it either way,
Yeah.
or either way. It's like that. It depends on where you're from in the world. Like if you're from Norway, it's not even pronounced like that at all. It's pronounced completely differently. But
Interesting.
if you're French, I think it's either.
Oh,
It can be ether or aether in English. It's kind of like encyclopedia. It's like it's almost like that. The symbol is called an ash symbol, so it's just a fucking weird leftover archaic symbol that doesn't really make much sense nowadays. So it's just, it can be either,
but
aether.
you guys pronounce it.
We've usually said aether realm. I say ether realm, because it's like it to me. It's like the way that you pronounce the word is dependent upon like the context in English. Like if it's like ethereal would be like versus, but then it's also like ether is still a surviving word that we use to this day.
Right.
Um,
Or
so,
non-surviving, depending on how it's used.
well, like if you want to like I guess knock someone out, you put some ether on a cloth and
Exactly. Exactly. And what are they doing after that? Most people are not surviving after that.
they're questioning if it's pronounced either or aether. No, so you can say Aether Realm. That's what we usually said for years. I've
Okay.
always said Ether Realm just because that's how I learned that word. But like, I know that Aether is also acceptable. So both are fine. It's
Okay, well that makes me feel better because I mean we've been, as you know, fans of Aether Realm for a really long time and I was just like, "Oh my gosh, I'm going to be mortified if I've been saying it horrifically wrong all of these years." But yeah, with obviously with them you had a lot of freedom with your creativity. And so I was curious with Cradle of Filth always being pretty established for a few years. I wasn't sure if you were going to be able to have that freedom. So I'm glad to
I
hear that.
I have like creative freedom, but that doesn't necessarily mean that's what's going to be to make it on the album, if that
Oh,
makes
for
sense.
sure.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So, like at the end of the day, that's a decision that's made by either Danny or the producer Scott Atkins.
Okay.
And Scott will kind of be like, "This riff is not so good, and this riff is really good." Now, sometimes I don't agree with him because he's kind of old, uh,
Right.
and I'll be
Yeah.
like, "No, dude, like trust me, this riff is sick. Like, it's great." I know that, but I know Scott's vibe is he's like a thrash metal guy. So any thrash metal idea that I put down usually gets the green light,
Yeah.
and any more like techie kind of riff usually doesn't. But every now and then I can sneak one in.
Yeah. Which, because that's what you're used to, is playing like all different styles of music in a song.
Well, yeah, that's my specialty. Is the
Hmm.
I'm always the person in Eighth Realm that like pushes putting like different genres into a song, and I'm the one that like I like to refer to it as like massaging it to like make it work.
Hmm. Yeah.
To me, like I have this. There's this beautiful saying that I like to say a lot. I'm not the one. I didn't create this. I can't even remember who said this, but you could probably Google who said this. But I remember just reading it one time when I was like a little kid. I thought it was the funniest thing ever. But I'm really good at like taking just like experiences and sayings and applying them to all sorts of different like paradigms in my life, right? So, for instance, the saying is, all music's folk music because I ain't ever heard no damn horse ride a song. And I thought that was the funniest thing I've ever heard in my life. And with Aetherrealm being kind of like a folk metal band,
Ah.
to me, I thought, well, folk metal is usually this kind of like it's like Scandinavian sounding,
Mhm.
usually, right? That's kind of like what everyone thinks. You're like, oh, it's gonna sound like Ensiferum, or it's gonna sound like Kalma or something like that, or it's got like a certain vibe to it, but to me, like, there's like, oh, well, flamenco music's folk music, you know, like Americana or country music in the States, or band, or like bluegrass. That's folk
Yeah.
music also in
Yeah,
the U.S.
definitely.
Afro-Cuban rhythms are folk music in Cuba.
Mm.
Um, you know, i- you can have like a bossa nova. That's folk music in Brazil. So like to me, it's like it's all folk music. So why can't I take folk music from other places of the world and put it in metal,
Ah,
and that would be folk metal still.
yeah.
So that's kind of like the silly idea behind like Redneck Vikings from Hell, and also
Yeah.
just to make fun of ourselves as well at the same time, but because I
Ah,
can never take anything fucking serious.
that's I well, and your whole that whole band is definitely has the same, yeah, seems to have the same sense of humor. Or you and Jake at least. Uh, so what got you involved in Cradle Filth?
So I've filled in for a band called Veil of Noth before, and basically I've been playing in Eighth Realm for a long time, and I knew a bunch of people. So what happened was Cradle Filth, their guitar player, left, and they had a tour to do in the U.S. So they asked Asim Sierra, who was playing in Winter Sun at the time,
Okay.
and he couldn't get a visa in time because he lives in Finland, but he's from Pakistan, and for him to get a visa in the U.S.,
Oh,
it's for anyone from Europe in general,
complicated.
actually, even and this is even back then, it's seemingly way harder now,
Yeah.
but like even back then, it was a process. It took time, and it was tough, and expensive. And anyway, he didn't have a visa for the U.S. that was still available, so he couldn't get one in time. So he's like, yeah, I can't do it. So then he calls. This is funny because he was going to call me, but he doesn't call me. He calls Heinrich and asks Heinrich from Eighth Realm if he wanted to do this. And Heinrich's like, I don't think I can with my schedule and stuff. And so the reason he didn't call me is because I was supposed to guitar tech for Hypocrisy on those same dates. It would have completely
Oh,
conflicted with that tour.
uh-huh.
And Awesome knew that I was doing this. So
Mm.
he was like, okay, I know Donnie's too busy. Let me just ask someone else. So then he asked Grant Truesdale from Unleash the Archers.
Oh, yeah.
So Grant then goes, I can't get a visa in time, but let me see if I can't find someone. So then Grant calls me, and Grant's like,
Jeez.
hey, dude, sorry to call you. This is kind of like weird and stuff. I was like, yeah, all right. I was on this trip driving my Nana across the country.
Oh,
So I was in like Kansas, I think, which is, honestly, a time to take a phone call while you're driving is Kansas because it's just like a straight shot. There's like nothing to see, but so yeah, I was just driving my Nana across the country. She always wanted to go across the country, and I was like, I know
that's
I have a map of the U.S. in my head now at this point, so let's just go. Grant calls me, and he basically says like, "Hey, dude, do you want to do this Cradle Filth tour?" And I thought it was the guitar tech at first, so I was like, "Oh, I've got this hypocrisy gig I got a tech for." He goes, "Oh, okay, well, yeah." And the way he said that was like weird to me, and I thought, "Why is
I
Grant
hear
asking
him,
me?"
right? Yeah.
Like, wait a minute, is this the play? He goes, "Yeah." I was like, "Fuck, I'd rather play, dude. Hang on." So I had to call my tour manager for the hypocrisy. Do you know Cam Cruz?
I don't.
Okay, he's from the band Seven Kingdoms. Camden Cruz is pretty much the TM for like most bands that like come from Europe and play like the US. He's typically the tour manager, especially if they're like a power metal band or a melodeath band or even like a prog metal band. Like he did Evergrey. That's how I met him. Was I teched for
Oh,
Evergrey, and then also did
I
some
love
tours with him
Evergrey.
in Seven Kingdoms, and we're all buds, and we all know each other. And anyway, I had to call him and be like, "Dude, you're gonna fucking hate me, but I'm gonna try to take this gig. I haven't said yes to the guy yet, but I'm gonna tell him that I can do it, and I'll see where it goes from there. But I already found you a replacement guitar tech and all this stuff." And he was like, "Oh shit, all right, dude, I understand. I get it." So uh, then I texted Grant back. I asked my Nana, I was like, "Nana, can you drive for me? I gotta handle some business." So, so then I texted Grant back, and then he goes, "Okay." I was like, "Hey, just let whoever needs to know that I'm good for it." And then I get a phone call 5 minutes later from Des Fafara, who is the manager for Cradle Filth. He
Oh,
plays.
okay.
If you remember Des, he's from Coal
Oh yeah.
Chamber
Oh
initially,
yeah. I know
and
who Dez is.
Devil
Yeah.
Driver. Yeah.
Hmm.
So he calls me. He's like, "Hey, what's up? This is Des Fafara," and I was like, "From Coal Chamber?" Like, I was like kind of like taken aback. I was like, I had no idea who was going to
They
call
were
me.
like my favorite band in the night. When I was a teenager, Cold Chamber was my ultimate favorite. It was almost my first tattoo was that
I
little
still think
smiley
Loco
face.
goes hard. I still think
It's
Loco goes hard. I think that
they're
song's sick.
nice. Mm-hmm.
I'm not even like a big new metal fan, but like I think Cold Chamber is like one of the first new metal bands. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? Like I feel like
for
it's like
sure.
it's like the band that like really just like that's like one of the first
I'm in
ones.
corn for sure.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah. So he calls me and he's like, "Okay, can you learn the songs fast enough?" It starts, I would have had 4 weeks. I think after my drive with my nan, I would have had like maybe 3-ish weeks, like a little over 3 weeks. He's like, "Can you learn these 16 songs in time?" And I was
Yeah.
like, "Yeah, I can do it." I don't want to sound like an asshole or a douche or anything like that, but in my head, I was like, "That's Cradle of Filth. I think anyone could learn it, and it's not that difficult."
Well, I mean, you're
Um,
a well-versed guitar player, but probably wasn't quite realizing what you were getting ready to chew.
No, I mean, don't get me wrong. Like the playing the songs wasn't the hard bit. It was remembering like the order of the fucking arrangements because the arrangements in Cradle Filth are the crazy parts. That's like the
Yeah.
crazy thing about that band is
Hmm.
like what comes next. Because like sometimes you're like, oh, it's this riff, but it's like in the wrong spot. Okay,
Yeah.
so you just have to remember that. That's the hard part about Cradle Filth. Really, it's just the arrangements. I think like so, and then but like also in my head, I was thinking like, well, I played in Veil of Noth and I learned their set in 3 weeks, and that's like the hardest tech metal I've ever played in my life. Now I was sweating for those 3 weeks. Don't get me wrong, like that was like tough. So in my head, I was like,
That.
I'm pretty sure I can do this
Hmm.
because if I can do that, then 16 songs in 3 weeks is not going to be that big of a deal. If it's Cradle of Filth, if it was like Veil of Noth, I'd be like, no, hell no, dude. There's no fucking way I can learn that fast. But so yeah, that's basically how I got the gig. I just, was
Like seven, what is 7 steps to Kevin Bacon?
yeah, 6 degrees of fucking yeah,
Six
exactly that.
degrees, that's what it is.
Yeah. 6 degrees of separation or 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon. Yeah, same
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. um,
Yeah, that's funny.
yeah. So yeah, it was just one of those like, I just have done a good job by making friends,
Yeah.
and that's kind of like one of my things I tell everybody is like I've done better by making friends than I ever had by making enemies. So the way that I got the Cradle gig is because I made friends with a bunch of people and they vouched for me
Hmm.
when something was needed.
So then after that tour, they were just like, okay, well, you're our guy if you want to be our guy.
Yeah, pretty much it was like halfway in the middle of the tour. Danny had brought up the idea of me like sticking on with them, stuff like that. We were at a bar, we were playing pool, we're hanging out with my guitar tech Anthony Ponce, which was just really funny because I met him. Ponce actually is how you pronounce his name. We just call him Ponce. So we're hanging out with Anthony, and um, he was. I've known Anthony for a while, which is really really funny actually, and he ended up being my guitar tech for Cradle, which was really his first Cradle tour was my first Cradle tour, and it was Zoe's first Cradle tour, and
Serendipitous.
but I knew Anthony because he was a big fan of Evergrey, and I guitar tech for Evergrey,
Mhm.
and he took lessons from Henrik Donega from Evergrey. So he came out to the show, and I met him then, and he was like, "Oh, I'm a guitar tech also." I was like, "Shit, who do you work for?" He's like, "Oh, I do Dragon Force." I was like, "That's fucking sick, dude."
Oh, fun.
So it was cool. Like we became buddies after that because we
Yeah.
like talking about nerdy guitar tech shit and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Um,
Actually interviewed Henrik for I can't remember if it was the last release or the one before, but yeah, for
I love
Evergreen.
Henrik.
I've interviewed him twice now.
You
And
know
I
he
think he was the last one. He was a lot of fun. His wife even came on, his wife and his dog came on camera for a little bit. It was
Oh,
fun.
Mika Devika. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mika.
What? Oh yeah, weird, which is weird since my name's
Um
Nika.
so yeah, like dude, he used to call me his guitar butler when I was his tech.
That's funny. That's fun. Oh gosh,
Oh,
that's
I love that dude. He's got such a good sense of humor.
he
There's
does.
like nothing serious out of his mouth ever.
Ah,
He's just always joking. Like it's so
that's
funny.
awesome. I love people
But
like
he's
that.
like so stoic with the way he says it. You're like, I'm not sure if he's
It's
joking or
it's
not.
are you is that a joke
And
or
Tom's even more like that. Like, cause Tom's just such a tall dude, and he's like kind of intimidating. Tom used to work security. He told me actually
oh, I could totally
for
see
like
that.
festivals and stuff. Yeah, and I was like, okay, I could fucking see that, dude. You're a
Yeah.
tall son of a bitch, man. But
Yeah, he's
but
a big dude.
yeah, but he's a
That's
funny
funny.
guy too. I love that dude. He's awesome. Um, yeah, yeah. So I knew Anthony because of that Evergrade gig, and so we're all hanging out at this bar and just shooting pool and stuff. And then Danny was just like, "Hey, look, you know, I really like hanging out with you. If you want to stay on, you can, And I know you got your other band, so we'll see how we can make it work and stuff." I was like, "Okay." I was like, "Let me think about it." And then like towards the end of the tour, I was like, yeah, I might say yeah, dude. Like So then I did summer festivals with the boys, and yeah.
Oh,
Then I
you
got
just recently announced that you're leaving Aether Realm. Um
yes, yeah,
very very like obviously it's a very jovial thing for everybody, even though it's sad. Of course it's not like it's a harsh breakup. It's they're very very supportive and very excited for you. How has that how I mean I definitely understand why you had to choose a lane because Cradle of Filth is a very very busy band. How has that been for you and for the Aether Realm camp? That's because that's your foundation.
yeah. It's like a breakup,
Yeah.
but like it's not like a bad breakup. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? It's like, oh man, like I think I have to do this thing, and I don't want to. I want to play in Eighth Realm.
Yeah.
I love playing Eighth Realm. I love writing music in Eighth Realm. Like that is my favorite music to write is Eighth Realm.
Because it's
Um,
completely different.
it is different. Yeah, it's very
Mhm.
different. But I've also always kind of been a bit of a musical chameleon. Like I've written music for blues albums, and I've played jazz, and I've sat in sessions with other people. I even like re-record acoustic guitar parts for other bands that are way bigger than my bands, and I can't really tell anybody what bands because I have like an NDA, but like
Yeah.
um and it's not like it's just like one of those like, oh, the acoustic guitars didn't sound very good in the recording, so can you redo it? And I go, yeah, no problem, I'll redo
I'm
it.
gonna I'm
Or
gonna get you super drunk one of these days and uh, accidentally have you slip it to me. I'll keep it to myself, but
yeah, like it's just um I don't know. Like I fancy myself a session musician,
Hmm.
and so to me, like I've always been very very good at like playing different types of genres at a level that sounds like that's the only genre that you play, or you're like like pretty decent at this genre, you know. Um, and I find that like that's like I just like anything that has like really cool guitar in it, you know. It doesn't
Of
matter what kind
course.
of genre it is. If it has really cool guitar in it, I'm a fan. I like it.
Right.
And if it has like really cool orchestral stuff, I'm also a fan. So those are like that's like the two things that I really really like in music. Um, I do also dig like a really well written song as well. So there's like some pop songs I just like. I'm like, oh, this song's a banger. It's great, dude. It's absolutely amazing. But yeah, I think it's like I consider myself like a very musical chameleon, you know, like a nomad of different genres. And so that'd be
Way
a
of
good
putting it.
name for a solo album. Um,
I'm surprised you haven't done one yet.
that's my game plan actually.
Uh,
I do want to put one together. I don't
is
really
it just
have.
going to be instrumental? Do you know yet?
Yeah, more than likely I would do just
Yeah.
instrumental, I think.
Awesome.
You know, I think like it'll mostly be instrumental. But it would be like different genres as well because I have like stuff on my computer that I've recorded that will never see the day of light. There's like jazz fusion songs I've written, and there's like all kinds of weird stuff on here, and um, you know, they don't have a home, they don't belong anywhere. And I was like, well, maybe I'll just put together a solo album, and these things will have a home because they're kind of like guitar showcasey in a sense, but there's one song I wrote that sounds like an old Polyphia song if it was written with Earth, Wind, and Fire. So it's like a
Oh.
funk Polyphia type
Oh.
song, and it's like my favorite one I've ever written, and I
Ooh.
really really want to like release that and show it to the world. So
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, okay, maybe a solo album is like what I need to do, and you know, I need to put metal on there and stuff like that. But I that's what I would do. I think I would do it like a bunch of different genres, stuff like
Oh,
that.
super cool. That's kind of, I mean, John 5 kind of does similar, he does a
Yeah,
bunch of
exactly.
different.
That's
Yeah.
exactly the idea. You know,
Yeah.
the ability to be able to like chicken pick and play a bluegrass country song and then rip a fucking like metal solo or something like that. And
Yeah.
then, you know.
You
So
definitely should. That would be really cool.
yeah, yeah, um, yeah. So the differences between Eighth Realm and Cradle of Filth are different. But to me, like all music's kind of like steeped in these similarities with the way that they work and function. And I'm really good at music theory, so like to me, it's just like I'm like, oh, it's just the same thing as these things, but it's just presented in a different jacket, you know, and that's pretty much
Do
it.
you do you feel because you would mention that the Cradle of Filth songs are more simplistic as far as your playing style, do you feel just as excited to play them, or do you, for lack of a better word, I don't want to say bored because it's obviously Cradle of Filth is far from a boring band. But when you're playing something that is maybe not as um technical as what you're used to, do you sometimes are you just like do?
I mean, look, it's nice that I don't have to like just stay glued looking at my fretboard the whole time, you
True,
know?
true.
Like, you know, sometimes there's such a
Especially if the
thing as
makeup starts
overplaying.
running in your eyes and you can't see.
Yeah, it fucking stings. You can't see a damn thing. There's such a thing as overplaying. You know what I'm saying? Like that is
Yeah,
a thing. And
yeah.
with Cradle of Filth, you have to be more conscious of that. In Eighth Realm, it's more about like the virtuosity. So like overplaying can be a thing, but also it's kind of like presented that's the forefront of it. That's the
Hmm.
thing that you're listening for it for, you know. Whereas Cradle, you're listening for it for different reasons. It's the aesthetic, the vibe, the atmosphere,
Like,
and a little bit of that virtuosity because there is some cool virtuosic things. Like I think um, some of the best playing that Cradle has had is on the albums that had Richard Shaw on it also, and I'm a big fan of that era of Cradle. As much as I love like Midian and that era of Cradle for myself, and you know stuff before that, and you know little after that up to maybe Amphetamine. Um, I think that like the best Cradle has been for since that era, that pocket was like when Richard Shaw and Ashok came on board, because the stuff they wrote is really really cool, and I think it's a really cool way to present Cradle of Filth. You know, it's very fresh and different, but it's also very great sounding. I think, personally, I think it's kind of funny like what can pass as a Cradle of Filth song, because really you just need Danny's voice, and that's what really does
Yeah,
it.
that's
You know
true.
what I'm saying?
That
Like,
that Dracula song on the newest album, I felt
uh-huh.
like was pretty different from a lot of the others, and that's so true. Yeah, Danny's voice is where you're like, oh, okay, that's he's has such a distinct voice that you're like, okay, that's clearly Cradle of Filth, but it doesn't necessarily, yeah, musically always stay. I mean, it's consistent, but it's different.
Yeah, and Cradle of Filth is kind of an interesting band because to me it's a band that also smashes different genres of metal
Yeah,
together. You know, you have like your new wave of British heavy metal Iron Maiden parts, you have your black metal sounding bits, you have the there's like
thrashy
even
ones.
yeah, thrash, and there's even like
Hmm.
melodeath riffs as well. Like
Yeah.
even like back in the day, I saw like an I watched this like video of these guys like um critiquing the album, and they were like, yeah, this is like a melodeath riff, and I went, a melodeath riff, and they're like, or no, they didn't say that, they said it's a metalcore riff. That's what they said. They said like, oh, it's like a
Oh,
metalcore riff.
oh,
I went,
interesting.
a metal, this is a metalcore riff? I was like, what? And then like my brain, when someone says metalcore, goes to like August Burns Red. That's like where my brain
Yeah.
goes.
Hmm.
you know but to me, I never thought of August Burns Red as a metalcore band when it first came out. To
Hmm.
me it was like, oh cool, this is a band that has like mellow death Gothenburg sounding riffs. Like this sounds like
Oh,
In
interesting.
Flames or like At the Gates riffs or something like that, you know what I'm saying? Because it's like
Hmm.
has these like notes that are bouncing around and skipping
Yeah.
strings, and it pedals a low bass note. I was like, this is like an At the Gates riff is what this is like, and
Okay.
so to me, I was like, that was like, oh, this is melodic death metal, but like in a different jacket. You know what I'm saying? Like, and
Hmm.
everyone calls it metalcore back then. I think that's what those guys were talking about. But then because they also said, yeah, Cradlefield had metalcore riffs before there was metalcore, and I went, yeah, but it was At the Gates riffs is what it was, dude. Like, just go listen to it. I promise you. You go listen
I
to Cruelty Brought the Orchids, and it's like there's a riff in there that just sounds like an At the Gates or Old In Flames riff, and it's like that's the same era that those bands were around, so that makes really
I
good sense. I was like, it's not. I was like, but I thought it was so funny they said metalcore, and I was like, what?
Yeah, I would not. That is definitely not one genre I would have ever linked with Cradle of Filth. Anymore though, I I'm kind of like it's good to have the genre so that way people that, are like, okay, well, if I like this certain genre, then these are the
Right.
bands I need to
I'll
check
probably
out.
like this. Yeah.
But there's also anymore there's so many genres and there's so many bands that do mix so many different ones anymore. Like 12 Foot Ninja, what do you even put them in? You
Oh
know?
yeah, right. I love
They
that band.
Oh,
That
I
band's
do too.
amazing. God, that
I
band's
Yeah,
so good.
Ro has been teaching Hendrix for over a year now. He takes lessons with
Really?
yeah. Yeah, that's one of the reasons why I don't know if you've seen Hendrix's videos lately, but that's one of the reasons why that kid he shreds. He's absolutely incredible. He has made leaps and bounds over the years, and Ro is a big part of it. He's been an incredible instructor. And it's funny because it'll be Sunday night our time, and then it's Monday during the afternoon his time because he's in
Yeah.
Australia.
Yeah.
But yeah, there any more bands, it seems like are like Will to Run, there's so many different types of music all put into one band or album that I'm like, why are we even branding them into genres anymore? Like just listen to it, and if you like it, cool, and if you don't, then you don't have to. But it's
That's
hard.
why you
I don't
have
know.
the for fans of X band or X band and X band.
Yeah,
It's like, so if you like these bands, you probably like this band because
yeah,
like, yeah, Wilderun's like, well, if you like Soen, you'll probably like Wilderun. If you like Opeth, you'll probably like Wilderun. But if
right,
you like folk metal, you'll also like Wilderun as well.
yeah,
And none of those bands are
right.
folk metal. So
Right. Yeah, yeah, it's interesting. In Flames is probably my all-time favorite band. We're actually going to go see them next weekend, not this coming weekend, but the weekend after. I love them so much.
yeah, that band was very like inspirational to me and growing up as a kid. That The Haunted, those are like my first bands that I was into when I first got into metal. And everyone else was, at the time, was in the new metal. So new metal wasn't like necessarily my thing.
Mm-hmm.
I remember listening to Coal Chamber. I remember that, but it wasn't like I was like obsessed with it. If it came on, I was like, oh, it's this song, cool. And
Yeah.
I wasn't like blown away by it. I remember hearing a song by The Haunted, and that's the first time that a metal song like blew me away. I went, "What is it?" Well, technically speaking, the first time a metal song blew me away was Iron Maiden's "Hallowed Be Thy Name," and I heard it on a skate video. It was "Welcome to Hell" by Toy Machine. 90s. I had it on VHS, and Jamie Thomas was skating, and it was the song "Hallowed Be Thy Name" by Iron Maiden. That's the song that made me want to play guitar. And my family had
This
like a
moment.
satellite TV, so like they had like music channels in the 900s or something like that. And I would
Yeah.
just put on the metal station and see if I can't find some new metal to listen to. And really funny story about this actually. Whenever I first heard that song "Hallowed Be Thy Name," I went to my friend David Burgess. He was the only dude at the time that I knew that had like a cable internet connection. Everything else was like dial up. And he had a P2P file sharing software. This is before LimeWire,
Okay.
before Kazaa.
Okay.
This was called Morpheus, is what it was called.
Okay.
This is
Ooh, I like that
really
name.
old, really, really old. And so we used that, and I was like, "Oh, we gotta download the song. Hallowed Be Thy Name." We downloaded that, but we accidentally downloaded the wrong version, which was like a normal thing back then. Was like you
Yeah.
would accidentally download, like someone was just named the wrong song, and you would download, be
Yeah.
like, "Oh, I like this song," and you thought that song was called that, and it wasn't this whole time. That was a
Yeah.
normal thing that happened
Of the
often.
wrong artist.
Yeah, yeah. So that's what happened. It was the wrong artist. It was the Cradle of Filth cover of "Hallowed Be Thy Name," and that's how I learned
It's
about the band Cradle of Filth.
full circle moment.
Yeah,
Crazy.
right. Yeah, really, really funny. So I thought I liked it better than the original. I thought it was amazing. I thought it was cool because it was creepy and spooky,
Yeah.
and I loved that. And I thought it was awesome. And I didn't realize I was really always into that kind of stuff, but I just apparently I was, and I was like, whoa, this is sick. Holy shit, And it was orchestral, and it was just like I was like, whoa, this is amazing. I was a big fan of like video game music, so anything that just felt like epic to me was just like really my jam, I think.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I found out about Cradlefield by accidentally downloading the wrong version of "Hallowed Be Thy
How
Name"
crazy.
from hearing an Iron Maiden song that made me want to play guitar, and
That's so nuts.
yeah, but
So
yeah,
you were
so
like, okay, now I want to play. I've heard Hallowed Be Thy Name, which totally makes sense of why that would make you want to pick up the guitar or make you decide that the guitar. So once you started playing, were you like, this shit's harder than I thought it was gonna be?
yeah, I mean like I had an acoustic guitar, and I had like a hand-me-down electric guitar that my mom had when she was a kid, and it was like a semi-hollow body, so it's meant for playing jazz. And I had this like little tiny amp that was called a globe amp, and it just had volume and tone, and like
Oh
that
yeah.
was it. That was the only thing
Hmm.
it had. Um, Actually, it had a tremolo knob, which
Oh,
is like the in like kind of like the volume just goes up and down. It was kind of weird, but that was it. It was the worst sounding thing imaginable. And it just clean channel only, and I'm trying to learn how to play this riff, and this is tough. And I've
I
eventually
see
got
that.
it, like after like a month or two, I think.
Oh wow.
But you know, I think I've always been like a musical kid, though. Because when I was a kid, this is okay. I've never really told anyone this one. I'll tell you this one. This is a very embarrassing thing about me. When I was a kid, I used to play like Sonic the Hedgehog a lot on my Sega, right? And I I liked Sonic the Hedgehog because the timer on it was long. It was 10 minutes before it killed you in the game. So I would just not move Sonic in the beginning because nothing would attack you, and I would just sit there and just listen to the music play for different levels, and then I would write lyrics for the music. Is what I used to do for
Ish.
entertainment when I was a kid.
Were they Sonic related lyrics or were they like a woe is me life related lyrics at that age?
Yeah, it was more like that. I was a pretty depressing kid, I think.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I had a lonely, unfortunate existence of being a very smart kid, which is a very lonely way to grow up being, it's the classic trope of like, oh, I did well in school, and why am I not able to concentrate now? I have to have coffee now in order to do that. I'm probably self-medicating, who knows? But yeah, no, it would be all kinds of different stuff. Sometimes it'd be something funny because like I would just write like a funny, goofy song, and then but then anyway, so I had this like guitar, and I just would try to learn that, and I would write silly songs for my friends. I'd write comedy songs and just play them for my friends
So
all the
you
time. Is
did
what I did.
share some of that with people.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's
I
cool.
had some really silly songs that I wrote, but like
Yeah.
no, but I never showed anyone the lyrics that I wrote for like the Sonic the Hedgehog music and all kinds of stuff like that. Yeah, I never
I
did that.
played it a lot too. I'm trying to remember how all I can hear is like the coins, because I got hit a lot. But I'm trying to remember how the music went.
I learned how to do the coin sound from Mario Brothers on the guitar actually.
Oh my
Like
gosh, that's crazy.
I was funny because there was this tour we did with Cradle, and it was with Wednesday 13, and we're in Europe,
Uh,
and Cradle's doing a sound check, and I just start playing Mario Brothers, like just the actual main Mario Brothers theme, and then Martin just goes on the drums and starts playing along with me, and then I knew how to make the pipe sound, so I
uh,
did that on the guitar, and then I went to like do 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 like on the guitar as well, and then Martin like changes the drums, and then like in between the do 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 do, just like bling bling bling, like the coin noise. Their guitar player, Ramon at the time, just comes to me. He's like, "How the fuck do you do the coin noise? What is that? What the fuck, dude?" He's like, "You gotta show me that now." I was like, "It's actually the easiest thing. It's just like the harmonic on the fifth fret on the B and the E string. Like I said, you just go ding, and it's just." I was like, I just found it by accident when I was a kid that it sounds exactly the same. So,
gosh, that's funny. So you're just mixing videos. So have you ever done music for a video game?
no, I haven't. Jake has,
Mm-hmm.
And I would listen
Yeah,
to some of the
just
stuff that he's doing and be like, "Oh, that's
probably
sick,"
for it.
or maybe try this chord here or something like that.
Yeah.
Like, but like I didn't help him write anything with it. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just like no, I've always wanted to.
Ah.
I feel like I'd be pretty good at it. When I was 16 or 17, I was on these forums for modding video games, and there's usually people who need someone to do like a job for like a video game project they're making. So like mod forums are great where like they modify games and they just kind of like make their own thing. And this is a great community. Which case, if you want to get into making video games, like this is kind of like the place to start. This is where you learn how to do things. You
Right.
go in there, and they need programmers, they need like compilers, they need like people who can make 3D um, um, objects, I guess, assets. There we go, 3D assets and stuff like that for their modded game and stuff like that. And sometimes the modded game is like it's the same game, but it has just like different things, like different bosses or something like that. Sometimes the mod is just like completely overhauled and it's a different game altogether. Um, but the number one thing they need is people to do sound effects design and music because there's not a lot of people that do that.
Yeah.
So if you want to write music for video games, get into a mod community, and that's a good way to do it. I
So
did
why is that not something you've done?
Well, I did on like one project, but the project never came to anything. So
Oh.
I did write some stuff for this project when I was 16, but nothing came of it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but like it's funny because like I've been writing like orchestral stuff for almost as long as I've been playing guitar at this point. So for
So
me
what
to
did
like
you
be able to do that with Cradle is kind of a cool thing.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So did you start with guitar or did you start with other because you said keys. What other things do you play and
Piano.
which did you start with? Yeah.
Piano was my first instrument.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
But I don't consider myself a piano player. I consider myself like good enough to fake it because I'm really good at music theory, so I can play piano like no problem, and like you know like I can improvise on piano no problem. Just because I go, oh, okay, I can maybe throw this chord here, and I'm really good at music theory where I can like just like hear something and go, okay, it's this chord, so it's the sixth chord, and I'm gonna grab the sixth chord, but maybe, and then I can figure out like in my head super fast like what notes are in that chord. So I
Okay.
it's not that I have chords memorized and how to play them. It's that I'm doing math in my head super quickly to be able to like figure it out, and I can do
Right.
that and improvise on the fly most of the time.
So when it comes to you creating new music, whether it's for Cradle of Filth or Aether Realm in the past or what for whatever for yourself, is that something that is like a prominent piece of creating music? Is the theory part, or because I mean there
Yeah,
is a di
so
difference,
it
yeah.
depends. Yeah, so I think it's like what do you start with? Like what's the first instrument you're
Yeah.
writing when you're writing a song? And for me, a lot of times it's drums. I usually write drums first.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Um, be, well, that kind of gives me,
Interesting.
yeah, that gives me the sense of like the energy,
Okay.
and then that can inspire the next parts,
Yeah.
right? But also like sometimes I start with piano, and I'll play something on piano. We do this a lot in Eighth Realm, where like we normally play on piano, and then we have this melody line, and then that melody line has to be made into like a guitar riff of some sort or something.
Right.
Um, Typically in Eighth Realm, everything's written on piano first. So like I'll write on piano, and then I have like some ideas that I want for like melodic phrases and stuff like that, and then I will put that in my DAW and then change some, like okay, maybe violins 1 and 2 are playing these notes, and then I have like maybe like a harp do like this bit, which is just hitting like notes of the chord, and then and I just kind of like move things around, and then until I find like the orchestration of it that I like. But it's the same thing, it's like the same chords and the same notes, and then I write like the choirs for it. Like I go, okay, so I'm like, okay, it's this chord and this chord and this chord, so the choir's going to be singing this note, this note, and this note. It's the same thing as like when I'm like improvising, I know like what notes to play. It's just, the choir would just do the same notes, it's the same exact thing as that. So um so like, and then I start writing guitar around it. And then what I do after that, and I don't always do this, sometimes like what I write there is what stays, but sometimes then I mute everything and then just play the guitar and see what
Oh,
I come up with in that spot for the guitar. And then I can come up with like, okay, this is like a more guitar centered section right here. So then I go back and I take things away and I start subtracting from the whole thing. You know, to
yes.
to me, then I have like an idea, like maybe like a minute long idea of like what's the thing, like what's the meat of this song.
Right.
In which case, then I start building it this direction, where I come up with like, how do I want this to be arranged? And so I like to listen to other songs and how other songs are arranged, and use those as a template
Yeah.
for like, what's going to happen next or something like that. So then I
There's
just
songs.
build
Sorry, go
drums
ahead.
like this outward, and then I know, okay, this part is this section, it needs like a mean guitar riff here or something, and then this part is going to have the thrash riff. Sometimes it's not that, sometimes it's just guitar only, and then everything else comes after.
Ah,
But most of the time, I the order that I just told you, that's like usually how I write.
crazy.
Which seems like a very convoluted, crazy way to go about it, but for me it works. It's
Yeah.
like it allows me to like demo and try things out, but it also allows me to have like a very presentable thing early on.
Yeah. So when you say you listen to other songs, like kind of to figure out what you want to do there, are you talking about other songs that you guys have already done or created, or like just other songs of other bands that are doing things in
No,
your
I mean anything. It could be a song that
yeah.
we've already done, or it could be like a song from another band. Um, it's me listening to the arrangement of it. So it's not like
Mhm.
this guitar riff I like, I want to do something
Yeah.
similar to that guitar riff. It's not necessarily that.
Right.
It's more of like this part is like a false chorus here, and then it plays like the riff, but then the vocals come in at this point in the riff. So the riff has to be played 4 times total. But then the next time it comes back, so then you immediately go to the chorus and then play the verse riff again, but this time it only does it twice. And then you go into like a melodic break that's kind of like not the chorus, but then after that melodic break, it goes into the chorus again or something like that. And then like maybe the next time it does this cycle, then before it goes like, it's that chorus, which is the hook. Then it goes into the verse. The verse you skip saying anything, but you only do it twice, and you go straight into the melodic break this time, and that's when vocals start again. And then after that melodic break, you go into like a thrash riff here, and then the thrash riff is going to have like a heavy riff, and the heavy riff leads you back into the chorus. So that's like to live deliciously is that arrangement, like that exact
Right.
arrangement I just explained to you is that. And so like I might look at like another song and say, okay, like this song from Camelot does something similar, like it does like it introduces the chorus to you in the beginning, but no one sings, right? And then it plays the verse, and the verse is like four times, maybe eight times, something like that. Yeah, could be even six times because you might do it two times with no vocals, and then you have four of it with vocals, which makes sense then. But musically, when you play it without vocals, it doesn't make any sense because you're like, oh, it's six times. It needs to be like four, eight, or two. But yeah, if you just imagine there's vocals that come in here at this point,
That
then
makes more
you're like
sense
you're
then.
fine. You have to always imagine that. It's so weird because like when you present it to someone else, they're like, okay, I think you did this part too many times, and you're like, no, 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 vocals come in after the two times, and they go, oh, okay, okay. Um, you know, uh, to fix that, like in Demagoguery, that one is there's a break, and then the vocals come in. And so it's like it's very obvious, like this is where vocals come in, it's like right here. Malignant Perfection is the same thing. It's like Danny likes to start vocals like after the first iteration, the first cycle of that riff. It's a very Cradle thing to do where the vocals start late in the riff. It's not right on the one with the riff. It's not right immediately. It's like the riff kind of plays and has room to breathe a bit, and then the vocals come in and let you know what's happening. So you have to kind of write a song planning that as well. Knowing
Right.
that like Danny likes to do this, so this is when you should change the part here as well.
Right. This is how you have to arrange it then, according to
Yeah, yeah.
what,
That's part of
yeah.
the learning how to write a Cradle song
Yeah.
bit. You know what I'm saying? Is a lot of like analyzing what Danny does vocally, and then a lot of um like for me, it's like I'm also analyzing like chord progressions, and I realize like there's a difference between like old era, middle era, late era Cradle of like how key changes work and chord progressions work. There's a difference. Like what does that? Which I think is what makes it sound different for each of those eras of
Yeah.
Cradle for me.
Right.
Um, so if you understand that, like the how the chord progressions function and move together in certain eras, then you can write a song that has the feeling of that era because you are doing something that era would have done.
Right.
You know.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It helps obviously to have that uh backbone of it so that way yeah you know kind of which direction to go with
Yeah.
it. So when you're trying to just come up with something creative off the fly, whether it's for Cradle of Filth or whatever, are on the times that you're like maybe struggling with creativity, which I doubt probably happens with you very often,
Oh, that happens to
what are
everyone.
what are some ways that you overcome that, or what are some bands that you listen to try to like get those creative juices flowing again?
There's a guy that did an interview with Rick Beato recently. I can't remember his name, but the what he said just really sticks with me. It's like it's a resounding thing. He said that like when you're playing, like let's say you're playing guitar, right? And you're having fun, you're enjoying this, right? And you're just having a blast. There's going to be times when you're a professional musician where um, it's not fun. You're not
Yeah.
having fun doing this.
Yeah.
It's work. It's your
Yeah.
job. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And
Absolutely.
it's just like anything. Like people often say, like don't do what you love as a job because it will kill it. But what he said is really cool because I agree with this. It's the difference between a hobbyist and an artist is that an artist will continue to do it even when it's difficult
Yeah.
and hard.
Hmm.
Whereas a hobbyist will say, it's not for me. It's just too much, and then they'll quit or take a step back or something. And the difference is that an artist is like we're obsessed with it.
Hmm.
So even though I have moments where I have like writer's block of some sort, I'm still obsessed with music and I'm still obsessed with playing the guitar and I'm still obsessed with writing music. So I just keep doing it.
Yeah.
And I know because I know that if I don't, I would not be able to live personally. It's something that I have to do. There's nothing in this world that I think ingrains who I am or embodies the spirit of like who I am more than that, more than just guitar, orchestral music, and writing music, and like performing. Those are the things that like I feel like everyone just knows me as, And it's just such a massive, important identity to me that if I were to lose it, it would be like an existential crisis for me.
Yeah. Oh, for
So
sure.
I can't, you know,
Yeah.
and so I'm just, too stubborn.
No, that's not a bad thing. I mean, you're an incredible writer, so the world needs that.
I can tell you a trick that I do actually. I had a lesson with a student of mine, and I taught him this trick that I do whenever I get stuck. Like, what part comes next? Because that's the part. Like, that's what happens whenever you're writing a song. It's like, what do I do next? It's like
Right.
that's the part you get stuck at. And usually when you're like, I don't know what to do next, you show the song to your friends that you trust, and you get their ideas, and then you go, oh, I like this idea that you're talking about. Maybe I'll do something like that, and then you come up with something, and it helps inspire you and gives you the push that you need or something like that. Or you talk to your
Right.
bandmates, and then someone goes, you know what, I would do this because I'm thinking the arrangement should be like this in the song. Danny's big on arrangements. That's the whole thing. Is like arrangements of the songs are typically like Danny's forte, and Danny's really good at like arranging a song in a way that makes really good sense musically. Even if it is crazy, it's like you almost forgive for like the weird abstract change because you're like, that's Cradle of Filth. It's gonna do that. Fuck it. Jake is the same way. Jake is a very, very good songwriter and a great arranger. And Jake is the person who literally arranges every Aether Realm song. So there is not a single song that's an Aether Realm song that is 100% written by anyone else other than Jake is like the person who puts it all together and pieces it together in finality. And he's the main songwriter of Aether Realm. So, and sometimes I go, let's put this idea here instead, or something like that, and then we have an argument, and then we try it out, and we go, oh, he goes, yeah, that's actually sick. Okay, cool, thanks, dude, and then we move on, but but I don't mind the arguments with it, because I know
Yeah,
that it's like it's part of the process. You know what I'm saying?
absolutely.
You both want to present the best thing that you possibly can, so the argument is you both are just passionate about it being the best thing that it could be, and there is no such thing as the best way it could have been. There's just a billion different ways to have done it.
Yep.
You know, it
You paused.
hear someone play something and go, wow, all those notes are like the best notes you could ever hit. It does happen, but very, very rarely. But the trick that I do whenever I'm stuck for the next part to play is I just plop an idea from another song that's already out. Not a
Okay.
song it doesn't have to be a song that you've written. It could be a song from like any band or anything. It could be one of your songs. It doesn't matter. Just take a song and just like say, okay, I have like certain like riff ideas in my head that I use by The Haunted. I mentioned earlier The Haunted is like one of my favorite bands.
Yeah.
There's a melodic death metal riff that The Haunted has, and I'll just plop that there.
Ah,
So I'll just like literally just like cut it and then put it there from the actual song, or I'll just play the riff because I know how to play it. And then does it work there? Now, if that riff works there, then I know, okay, I need like a melodic death metal riff here. That's what this
oh,
part needs.
interesting. Okay,
So
that's
then let's
smart.
delete that and then say, okay, I'll just write drums and that way I have something to play to. And then I make markers in my software saying mellow death riff here. And then I'll just, maybe 16 measures later and then this section comes next, something like that.
That's super
Uh,
smart.
Yeah, because it's a way to demo like the flow of like what's
Right.
coming next, right? So you
Right.
just take someone else's idea and just put it
Yeah.
there and see if that's because now you got the idea of like the energy, the vibe, and the emotional value. Like, does this work? Or do you want to, you could change the emotion by changing the chords underneath it. That's
Right.
the artist part in you, like being
Yeah.
like, do I, you know, but like if you take something that you already know is an established thing that works and just plop it there and see if it works, then you're like, cool, that's great. And another thing to do is you make like I call a riff bank, and it's just a folder of a bunch of like guitar ideas or like orchestral ideas that I have. And I just put them in this folder. And anytime I'm curious as to like what's the next thing I need to do, I just go in the riff bank and just start dragging and dropping things and see if it fits.
That was
And if
smart.
it fits, then cool, that's the thing. Then I use that part there, you know. So sometimes you don't have any ideas that go with the idea. So you
Mhm.
just take that and you put it in the riff bank and you move on and start working on something else.
Right. Right. So then, yeah, you can use those as future. possibilities or inspirations. That's yeah, that's really smart. I'm going to tell Hendrix all those things because I think that'll he's in the process of trying to learn the songwriting part of things, and he's just like, I just don't, he'll
It
come
sucks. It
come
sucks. It fucking
he's
sucks. It's such hard work.
yeah,
It's
he'll be,
a pain
and
in
he
the ass.
always wants me to come and listen to him. And now I understand why, because I'm like, you know better than I do. And he's like, no, I need you to listen and see if this sounds okay. And, I'm his mom, so I'm like, it's amazing.
Yeah, but like, yeah, yeah. What he wants is he wants someone to say like, you know what I'm saying? Because like, it's like you're when you make something, you're attached to it, right?
Yeah.
So it's
Hmm.
really hard for you to convince yourself if this is the right, if this makes sense or if this is good or not,
Yeah.
you know. And it's not that it's not good. It's just that is it
That
something
work.
that is going to work with like
Yeah.
most other people who are not fucking musicians? Because if you're a
Right.
musician, you're gonna like anything that's like crazy and
Yeah.
musically interesting and intricate. But that's not what most people want. You know,
Just so
they like
so
the
dumb.
simplicity.
Yeah, I'm definitely on the other side of the spectrum. I've always liked the crazier, as long as it works, the better. Like, have you ever listened to the band from Italy, to Strage?
Mm-mm.
Oh, they're super fun. They're so crazy and all over the place, and I'm just like, yes, if it's unpredictable and I don't know which direction it's gonna go, but again, it sounds good, then Mr. Bungle's one of my favorite bands. I mean,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I like stuff like that. Yeah, Mr. Bungle. There's a band called Trollhaugen out of
yes,
Australia.
yeah,
You
they're
know,
fun.
yeah, yeah. All that stuff is just like it's like I like stuff that's like zany and weird
Yeah,
but like
which doesn't
it's
surprise
musically
me with
intricate to me because
yeah,
it's doing stuff that you would not hear people typically
yes,
do musically, and that's why I like it because to me it's
yes.
like oh that's very cool. You know, it's
I
very
feel like
thoughtful.
that's what Aether Realm does. I mean, you don't know which direction the songs are gonna go. You got, Spanish guitar all of a sudden that's popped in there, and there's definitely, I mean, there's a lot of fluidity, but there are some portions of the song that take different melodic turns and different styles, and that's one of the one things I
That's
really, really
so funny
like about it.
you mentioned that because I literally had to go fix my acoustic guitar because there's a acoustic part that I have to write for a song in Eighth Realm on the next album that we're working on, and
Are you
it's
still gonna be on the next album?
oh yeah yeah yeah
Cool.
I still wrote a lot of stuff for that, and
That's
so
awesome.
I'm still helping them write that album also
Oh,
on
good.
top of writing another Cradle of Filth album at the same time. So
Oh, you guys are already starting another Cradle of Filth album?
oh yeah yeah we have like 3 or 4 songs
Jeez.
that are being pieced together currently actually.
Jeez. Yeah, that album hasn't even been out, what, 3 weeks? Well, what, but you guys have been writing it for probably a couple of years, so that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, like whenever you finish an album, like you know, you finish the album, and then it's like, okay, now we have to go record it. So you
Mm-hmm.
have to go record it, and then after it's been recorded, that's going to take a while, and then
Yeah.
it has to be mixed, and that's going to take a while also. And then you have to send the final mixes with being mastered and everything. Oh, you have to send off to mastering, and
Yeah.
then you have to like send this now, present it in the order and everything, like pretty much is good to go
Yeah.
to
Oh, the
Napalm Records,
order.
and they're gonna take 6 months to release it.
Right.
So by the time you put the album that's finished in someone else's hands, that album has been done for like 2 years to you.
Right. Right.
You know,
Yeah.
like maybe a year or so. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah. That
and then
makes
it's gonna
sense.
take 6 more months on top of that to release it.
Right. So, you're not going to be doing live shows at this time with Aether Realm anymore. Do they already know who's going to somehow come in and fill your shoes, or
A
are
hundred
they
percent. Yeah,
good?
we already know exactly
Okay, good.
who's going to do it. Yeah, that's
Okay. Because I was like,
the,
how are they gonna find another Donny? Like, I know that they're out there, but I was just like, oh my gosh, that's such a big, big role to fill.
I mean, like writing wise, like there will be differences because this person's writing style is similar but different to mine. Like,
Okay.
I you know, I'm I'm the person I'm the acoustic guy in Aethrum also, and I'm the guy that like
Uh,
does like the weird zany other genres in it and stuff like that. You know, which is funny because like Jake actually like wrote the banjo in Redneck Vikings from Hell. You know, but like me and him were like kind of like vamping out some ideas, and I went, what if we just did like a trucker song in this part right here? He goes, what? I was
yeah.
like, yeah, you know, it's got like a bluegrass vibe, but like it sounds like a C.W. McCall song, like Convoy or some shit. And I was like, and then you could just like just talk over it also,
Yeah.
like how C.W. McCall does in the song. And so we just like bang that part out. We were hanging out like this is before we lived together, and we were just hanging out and just basically like just just tried it on. I think it was like our friend's acoustic guitar. It wasn't even mine, like and we are like, yeah, we should do that. And then we just recorded like using his laptop microphone just in his bedroom and shit. And then so then I had that and I re-recorded it when I was back in front of my computer and then played the spoon. I played spoons on it, and then I added like an eagle sound and a vibra-slap and a whip like whoosh, like that in there. Because I want it to be like it has to be, look, it has to be like very well known. This is silly.
Yeah.
Um, so I add all these extra silly things. The funny thing, the eagle sound is not even an eagle. It's a feathered, red tail feathered hawk. I think is what it's called, something like that. It's
Oh,
like, yeah, it's this hawk
color
that like makes
screeches.
this.
Yeah.
Well, the funny bit is this hawk sound is like in public domain because it's been used on everything. But anytime you see like an eagle and you hear like the eagle sound, it's just this hawk is what it is actually. It's not even an eagle. Like an eagle just makes a
Weird.
really high pitched, annoying sound apparently. So
Oh
like
my
the
gosh.
freedom like sound, that's just a hawk actually. But I know that the sound is in public domain because I used to work at a studio that did like post production for film. So I know, and we did sound design and recorded voice actors for cartoons. So I know like like how to do
It's been
Foley
all
and
over
stuff
the
like that for
board.
film. I've had almost every job you could ever imagine, but so I know how to do like Foley. I know how to do sound effects design, and I knew that this sound is public domain. But where I found the file was I didn't find it online anywhere. I just happened to have like World of Warcraft installed on my computer,
Okay. Okay.
and there's a hunter stance that you can click that has like an eagle, and it uses that exact same sound. So I just took that sound file from the in the folders of that game data and
Oh
just
my gosh.
put it in the song. It's just what
Oh my gosh. Oh, that's funny.
but yeah, it's just so like he has a different vibe with the way like I'm a very weirdly experimental person with stuff, but you know he's a very good guitar player. He's probably better. I think he's better than me personally. Honestly, I think he's an insanely good guitar player.
Oh,
So he's super super clean. He's solid. I think though the way that we play is like I've heard other people describe it where like he plays very precise, and when you play, you have like a lot of like this like kind of like feel to it.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Um, but I'm like, oh man, I like playing precise if I can,
Yeah.
But yeah,
Right.
it's like I think it's just like we're different, but I think he's similar enough to be able to do an extremely good job in it. He's also going to be helping write some stuff on this next
Okay.
album as well.
Oh,
Um,
good.
so I think personally the next album's probably gonna be amazing. You know what I'm saying? Because it's gonna have like a bunch of cool ideas coming
Right.
in it that are fresh too on top of it. Of the normal
Yeah.
stuff as well. So I think it's probably gonna be an absolute smashing album. Honestly,
Do you guys have any
Um,
idea? I don't, you probably can't say this yet since you're just in the creation phase, but do you have any idea when you guys are gonna try to push to release it?
yeah, we have a schedule, and the schedule is basically to have this album to start doing the actual recordings of it in May.
Okay.
Um, so and there's like maybe like three or four more songs that need to be finished for the album to be finished, and that's about it. So it's
Oh,
like we're on the home stretch now of this.
yeah.
Orchestrations still need to be done for it. We're gonna have Wayne Ingram from Wilderun do some orchestrations on some of the songs, and we're gonna
Perfect.
have another
Oh,
friend of
perfect.
ours who lives here in Asheville do some orchestration as well. His name's Vic. He's amazing. He's done like so much crazy cool orchestrations and stuff like that. Um, he
You're
plays
in
in a band
Nashville too?
Asheville.
I thought you said, I was like, when did you move to Nashville? I thought you said Nashville. I'm like, man, all of these
Oh
metal
no,
musicians in Nashville, which is so bizarre.
Nah, Asheville. Yeah, that
Okay,
happens
that
all the time.
makes more sense.
That's why I always say Asheville. I go Asheville, North Carolina. That way everyone doesn't get confused. Because I would
Right.
just say Nashville if I meant Nashville, Tennessee. But I always say Asheville, North Carolina, because it just sounds too similar to each other.
Yeah. Well,
You
and
know.
there's so many, again, metal musicians that are moving to Nashville, which seems like a bizarre thing to me, but I've never been there, so maybe that isn't as weird as it seems on the outside.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I did live in Nashville, Tennessee. That studio that I worked at was out of Franklin, Tennessee, which is just
Oh,
20 minutes south of Nashville, but
oh,
of
interesting.
the Nash, as
Nash.
they like, as the Nash. Yeah, the Nash. Um,
Uh, so you guys are going to be recording in May, which means it's probably not going to be out until the end of the year, the beginning of next.
More than likely, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
cool.
Because once it's mixed and mastered and all that stuff, then Napalm Records still gonna take 5 to 6 months to release
Right,
it, and they have
right.
their release schedule and stuff like that also.
Okay, cool. Ooh,
And we're
I'm
trying to finish the
excited.
Cradle Filth album like ASAP. We're trying to record drums in January and February for that.
Because I was trying to, because obviously the release just came out, and then I was thinking the one before was like, oh no, it was 2021, wasn't it? I was thinking it was longer than that, but it wasn't that long. It was just, I think it was 2021. I feel like that's what I
Which
saw.
one?
The album before this last one, The
For
Screaming in the Dark.
Cradle? Yeah,
Uh-huh.
Existence is Futile. That came out 2021. Yeah.
Okay. For some reason was thinking it had been longer than that, so I was surprised that you guys were already pushing to go for another one, but I guess it hasn't been that terribly long.
Yeah, because this one came out this year, so that's
Just
2 or 3 or
like
4.
not even
Yeah,
three
that's
weeks
that's like
ago.
3 years.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it is. Yeah, 3 weeks ago. Yeah, that's right. I forgot.
Yeah.
I've already moved on. I'm.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. And I get it. I mean, that's how, anytime I do these interviews, obviously it's either for an upcoming album or one that's already out. And yeah, that's how everybody's like, we're already on to the new. I have to go back and talk about the old.
Yeah, yeah. For me, it's archaic, because I've
Yeah.
been living with the album for a long time, and I was
Right.
there to write it and stuff like that, and help write
Right.
things, and so for me, I've been very very familiar with these songs in like even their most infant of stages and stuff,
Yeah.
So.
Right. Right. Hmm. Well, dude, I have taken so much of your time, but I super enjoy chatting with you. You guys are going out on tour here in couple weeks, or not even a couple weeks, probably about a week and a half ish.
Is it? That
Um,
means I gotta practice because I haven't even started practicing the songs yet, so I gotta do that.
well, maybe I'm wrong, but I know you guys are going to be
No, it's
here.
April 15th. You're right. It is.
Yeah,
It's like literally like less than 2 weeks now at this point, which means that I
yeah.
need to actually probably after this just practice and relearn how to play some of the songs because I don't remember how to play them. And then like White Hellebore, I don't remember how to play it at all. I know that I played it when I recorded it. I remember doing that,
That
but
video is insane.
I gotta remember how to play it. I'm like, okay,
Uh,
I don't
well,
remember
yeah.
how this
Well, you guys
goes.
are coming in our neck of the woods, so I'm sure we'll be able to go and watch it. And because I never got to see Aether Realm with you, so this will be my first viewing of actually seeing you on stage, which is
Really?
nuts.
Oh man.
I know. Nobody like it's very rare that I know you guys did come to Boise one time, and I can't remember what was going on, but for some reason we get skipped a lot. Yeah, which I get. In the western side of the states, you have to hit Washington, you have to hit Oregon, you have to hit California, a few areas. You have to hit Nevada, you have to hit
Yeah,
Utah, and so
it's
Idaho's just
weird. It's
kind
like
of,
a tough weird call because it's like
yeah,
I mean it's always better to play a show than to not play a show because playing a show alleviates the cost of like the van or the bus or
true, yeah.
whatever you got. You know what I'm saying? Like because you're renting those things and they cost money
Mm-hmm.
every day and your crew costs money every day. So to
Yeah,
play a show is always better than to not play a
yeah,
show.
yeah,
Um, even if it is like a small one and you just get like a smaller guarantee or something like that. It's still
yeah.
it's better than losing the full amount.
That makes sense.
But the
Pretty,
days
we have
off
a
are
pretty
also nice.
intense yeah, for sure, and that's much needed. We have a pretty intense metal community here that's pretty good about making it to shows. I feel like our I mean it was Kill Switch, but the Kill Switch show just sold out. And it's not Polyphia. Last time I saw Polyphia sold out, which that one really surprised me. I didn't realize that many people liked instrumental music, but
Polyphia is
Um,
great because they
oh, they're
bridge the
so
gap
good.
between metal fans
Hmm.
and jam band fans,
Yeah,
and because their music is just so cleverly presented in a way to where like it's accessible to both of those fans of those genres, and I think it's brilliant because I think it's what makes
yeah.
them more like bigger and just more well known. It's just like if you're a fan of this, you're gonna like this, but if you're a fan of this other weird thing, you're gonna like this also. And these two different types of like you know fans can
Bridging
come
that
together
gap.
and have a good time and hang out, and it's great. So I think it's a cool thing. I love that. It's the differences coming together is what I like the
Yep.
most.
No, I
I think for
agree
me,
100%. I was just surprised because they're a instrumental band and I didn't like I love instrumentals, but not a lot of people do. Like we just went and seen Animals as Leaders. I've seen them a few times and it was a decent crowd for sure, but not everybody loves Animals as Leaders because it's just instrumental and they're like, "Oh, it's fun at first, but then I get bored." And I'm like, "How people get bored?" John Pye's my favorite guitar,
see, I
guitar
can't even
player.
tell you the
Like,
lyrics to any song that I have played ever.
yeah.
Like I
Yep.
don't know them. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
I mean the weird thing is, um, it's funny because like instrumental songs do traditionally don't do as well as a song that has lyrics. Like
Yeah.
my favorite song that Aether ever wrote is "Craft and the Creator," and
Oh,
it's a 10-minute song and it's just fully instrumental. And it was
yes.
the idea was we're going to write this song that's going to just smash everything that we've ever done into one song. It's got everything. It's got this kind of like uh intro that's like very like Latin American inspired sounding. It's got this kind of like neo classical metal sounding bit as well. It's got like kind of like cool EDM stuff that we're really into. Like we're into like all kinds of weird EDM DJs and stuff like that. It's got like very beautiful sections that kind of sound like Polyphia ish or something like that. But then like it has everything in it.
It
It also
does.
even like references themes from other songs that we've written with different chords underneath it. So it has a
Oh,
section that even
interesting.
plays like the instead of like the choir singing like the main melody line in Sun Moon Star, it's the guitar is playing it on the lead, but the chords are different, so it has a different emotional feel to it.
Oh,
It's like taking like Legos and just like building something
I,
different. And so like it's like my favorite song ever because it's like to me it's like the ultimate song that I've ever helped write in my life on a musical level. And it was the idea was we get to flex. This is
yeah.
we're showing off exactly what we can do
Yeah.
musically. This is
Yes.
everything. And
Right.
not only can we do things that like musically are interesting and intricate with cool guitar work, but like we know how to write something where if it was a concept album, we could revisit themes and have different ideas and emotions in those themes as well. And this song does that. And Craft the Creator is about the process of writing music and trying out different ideas and seeing if they work together or not. And that's what the song's about.
I have it
And so
on
that's
so
why
many
it's
playlists.
yeah, and
It's definitely
that's
one of
why
my
it's
favorites.
thank you so much. That's why it's like such a for me it's like so special because of that because it's a song about the process of writing music, and that's why it's called Craft and the Creator also.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
but like it to me it's the most amazing thing that we've ever written. And Jake says the same thing. He goes this is the sleeper song that we wrote and no one appreciates it because
Right.
it's the best song we've ever written.
Yeah,
You know.
no. Well, because I am such a music connoisseur and I do like I said, songs that do the twists and turns and ups and downs and take you on a journey. That very, very quickly was one of my favorites. So I didn't sleep on it, but I get that the general population, that's not always their thing, but you do
Yeah,
have
yeah.
the
It was explained to us the reason it didn't do so well is because it's instrumental, and we're like, oh, okay.
yeah, yes. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I get it, but yeah, you can always count on me to pick out those ones and enjoy those ones. Um, but yes, thank you so much, Donnie. I super, super appreciate you taking the time.
Yeah, no
Um,
problem.
yeah, and if I do get a chance to see you when you're here, I am definitely going to buy you drinks and try to get that
Okay, cool.
information out of you.
Yeah, yeah, no problem. Yeah, awesome. Yeah, I'll take an IPA or something like that, or a
Okay.
sour. Those are my jams.
I
So
don't know
I
if
feel like I
they
look like a dude who drinks IPA, but
you do. You do. I'm trying to think if they have sours over there. I don't know if they do. I'll have to. I'll have to look and see, or maybe I'll see if I can sneak one in.
Okay, yeah. Awesome.
Awesome. Cool. Well, thank you, Donnie. I hope that your future endeavors just go beautifully for you. And I'm really glad to hear that you're writing with Aether Realm on this next one. I'm excited to hear it.
Thank you very, very much. Yeah, no problem. I appreciate that. I'm still gonna help them when stuff breaks, obviously, because I'm the tech dude. So whenever they're like, "Hey, this thing's not working," I'm like, "Okay." And I'll probably still restring everyone's guitars before they head out for tour if I'm home. I'll probably still do. I got my bench right here that I do all my repair. It's actually all of Cradle Filth stuff up here right now. Actually.
My gosh, that's hilarious. Oh my gosh. Yeah, you just remove one hat, put on the other one. Remove that hat, put on the other one.
Yeah, yeah. So I have all the quad cortexes here for Cradle Filth, and
That's funny.
I'm updating them and making sure they all work, and you know, making everything cleaning and fixing things that need to be fixed and whatnot on them. So
Look
yeah,
and
that's pretty
sound
much
pretty.
yeah. Cool. Thanks, Nika. I
Awesome.
appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm sure I will chat with you soon.
Okay, cool deal.
Okay. All right. Bye.